I never thought that opening an account to make money from my bedroom would be the reason I started sleeping with the lights on. At first, everything felt harmless. Just a screen, a username, a generic profile picture. But now I know there are people who don't settle for watching you through a camera. People who want to reach through the screen. And when they do, it's already too late to log out. I started on OnlyFans out of necessity. Not for fame, not for attention, for money, for survival. I lived in a small apartment with walls so thin I could hear my upstairs neighbor get up in the middle of the night. I recorded late when the building was quiet. The only constant sound was the old fan inside my laptop and my own breathing, trying not to sound nervous. At first, the messages were normal. Empty compliments, awkward requests, usernames I forgot immediately, until he appeared. His username wasn't special. No real photo. Nothing that made him stand out. But his messages were different. He didn't write explicit things. He didn't ask for anything. He just asked if I was okay, if I had eaten, if I was sleeping enough. One night, he asked me if the rain outside was keeping me awake too. I looked up from my phone, because that night, it really was raining. At first, I told myself it was a coincidence. The internet is full of coincidences. That's what I repeated to keep from thinking too much. Over time, he started noticing details. He said I bit my lip when I was nervous, that I always turned the light off before recording, that I tucked my hair behind my left ear. Small things. Details I didn't remember ever mentioning. One night, the elevator in my building made that metallic noise that always woke me up when someone rode it late. Minutes later, I got a message from him. He said he hated that sound, that the elevator in my building was too loud at night. My stomach tightened, like something cold had slid down inside me. That night, I recorded a different kind of video. I didn't get ready. I didn't smile. I was tired, empty. When I finished, I closed my laptop without checking my messages. But my phone buzzed immediately. He wrote that I looked sad that day, that someone must have hurt me. I turned off the screen. I sat in the dark, listening to my own heart pounding in my chest. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone in that room. I decided to block him, to make him disappear, to convince myself I was just being paranoid. But the next day, there was another message, another account, same way of writing, same tone. He asked me not to block him. He said he just wanted to take care of me. That day, when I left my building, I found a folded piece of paper tucked under my windshield wiper. The rain had soaked it. The ink was slightly smeared. It didn't have my name, just one sentence. You sleep with your window not fully closed. That night, I checked every lock, every door, every corner of the apartment. I sat on my bed with my back against the wall, the light on, my phone in my hand. Every creak in the building sounded like footsteps. Every distant noise felt closer than it should have been. Then my phone buzzed again. He told me not to be afraid, that soon he wouldn't have to watch me through a screen anymore. I called the police. They told me that without direct threats, without clear proof, there wasn't much they could do. They told me to be careful, to close my accounts. So I did. I moved. I changed my number. I deleted everything. I vanished from the internet. For weeks, I slept peacefully. I thought it was over. I thought I had escaped. Until one night, in my new apartment, I found a small box outside my door. No return address. Inside, there was a photo of me. I was standing by the window, with my back turned. The picture had been taken from the street. On the back of the photo, there was a sentence written in shaky ink. It said that now that I wasn't looking at him, he could look at me better. I never recorded again. I never opened another account. I never put my life on a screen again. But some nights, when I turn off the lights, when the apartment falls silent, when the city seems to hold its breath, I feel like someone is still on the other side, still connected. My name isn't really Maya. I'm using that name and I'm saying I'm 23 because I don't want anyone who knows me to recognize this story. When you work online, especially in private calls, you learn how to build a version of yourself that isn't fully real. You smile when you don't feel like smiling. You listen when you don't care. You perform comfort, attention, closeness. After a while, you stop noticing where the performance ends and where you begin. That's how it started for me. The request came during a private call. The client didn't look strange, didn't sound aggressive. His voice was calm, almost careful. He asked me to turn off my main light. That alone wasn't unusual. Lighting requests are common. So I did it. Then he asked me to move the camera closer to my face, to look directly into the lens, not to smile, not to speak. He wanted silence. That was new. At first, I laughed it off, thinking he was joking, but he didn't laugh back. He just repeated the request slowly. "Just look at me," he said. "Don't say anything." So I did. For a few seconds, it felt harmless. Then the silence started to stretch. It wasn't awkward in a normal way. It felt heavy, like the air in the room had thickened. He asked me to hold eye contact with the camera for 1 full minute. You'd be surprised how long a minute feels when you're staring into a dark lens, knowing there's someone on the other side, but not seeing them. My thoughts began to spiral. I became aware of my own breathing, of how tense my face felt, of how exposed I was. Then he asked me to close my eyes. He told me to imagine that he was in the room, to describe what I thought he would be doing if he were standing behind me. That's when something shifted inside me. The request itself wasn't violent. There was no direct threat, but it crossed a line I didn't know how to explain. It wasn't about what he wanted to see. It was about what he wanted me to imagine. I felt my chest tighten. My body reacted before my mind could justify it. A quiet sense of danger, the kind you feel before you understand why. I made an excuse, said my connection was unstable, ended the call. For the rest of the night, I couldn't stop replaying his calm voice in my head. Not angry, not demanding, just certain. That's what scared me the most. When I tried to sleep, I realized I had learned something about myself. It wasn't the strange request that haunted me. It was how close I came to doing everything he asked just because he asked it gently. When your job is to make other people comfortable, you slowly train yourself to ignore your own discomfort. And some people know exactly how to use that. I wasn't the one in front of the camera. It was my friend. I'll call her Elena. That wasn't her real name. I won't say her exact age either, because people think numbers explain things. They don't. Elena wasn't chasing attention. She was trying to pay rent. That was it. She was always the careful one, the friend who checked the locks twice, the one who shared her location when she got home late. So when she told me one of her subscribers made her feel off, I listened. She didn't say he was aggressive. She said he was too correct, too patient, like someone waiting in line with a smile that never changes. He didn't ask for strange things. He asked for consistency, that she always reply, that she not disappear, that she not change how she was with him. That was the first thing that unsettled me. He didn't want requests. He wanted presence. Over time, he told her he understood her better than anyone, that he saw the real person behind the screen, that everyone else only saw a surface version. Those words don't sound dangerous at first. They sound flattering until you realize they're meant to separate you from the people who know you offline. Elena started to feel guilty when she didn't reply. She told me he would take it badly, that she worried he might do something reckless if she pulled away. That isn't care. That's emotional pressure disguised as concern. Then came the coincidences. Messages when she left work, comments about places she visited. Nothing direct, nothing she could point to as proof. Just a feeling of being watched too closely. I told her to cut contact, to block him, to save everything. She said she didn't want to set him off. That sentence still echoes in my head, as if her safety depended on not upsetting someone who had already crossed lines. In the days before she vanished from my life, Elena seemed tired, quieter, like she was carrying something she couldn't put down. I won't describe what happened. I don't need to. What matters is that the obsession wasn't sudden. It was built slowly, out of small permissions, out of silence, out of discomfort that became routine. People imagine danger as something loud, obvious, but sometimes it arrives politely. Sometimes it asks you to stay. Today, I miss her in ordinary ways. I miss the way she used to send me voice notes when she was bored in line. I miss how she'd laugh at her own jokes before finishing them. I miss knowing I could text her at any hour and get a reply that felt like home. The space she left is quiet, not dramatic, just permanently unfinished. What happened to her didn't start with violence. It started with someone who wouldn't let her leave his attention, with someone who confused access with entitlement. When someone believes they know you better than you know yourself, they begin to think they can decide for you. If this story does anything, I hope it teaches one simple thing. Obsession doesn't begin with harm. It begins with a presence that refuses to go away.